My video ran out of space, camera, so I'm not really sure where I left off. I was saying that they were passing moments on to Captain Marvel, I believe, something along those lines. Oh no, I was talking about the moment when Sam is in Cap's ear on your left. Again, awesome throwback to Winter Soldier. Their attention to details, phenomenal. And it got me caught up in lump in my throat, for real. For that, just awesome moment. And then now probably my best mark out moment, and this dude is becoming my dude because I loved him in Infinity War, and that's Doctor Strange. So you start to see I was like, oh, it's on. These suckers are about to start coming out these portals, and first three characters coming out: T'Challa and Okoye. Not Okoye. Yeah, Okoye. T'Challa, Okoye, and Shuri. Which I pointed out later on after seeing it the second time. I was saying to my daughter, like, wait a minute, why is Okoye coming out? She wasn't dusted. So, again, I guess we're going to have to figure, once these people came back from the dust, what they went and found her wherever she was, in her Avengers duties. And Doctor Strange was able to summon her so that they could come out of the portal at the same time. Like, or maybe that wasn't Okoye and that was one of the other Dora Milaje. I don't know. But it was Okoye. So that's a little bit of convenience. Or not convenience, but we have to kind of give the benefit of the doubt and just kind of let them explain or not question. Just say, oh, okay, she's going to come out of the portal with some people that were dusted and she wasn't. Anyway, dope. For them to be the first ones to come out, love that. Again, these are strategic moves. It's like, let's give some shine to the new generation of MCU characters. Black Panther, I think it's going to be major going forward. And, Doctor Strange being the one that's opening these portals. Dope. Loved it. So I started to mark out then. And then Black Panther had that sequence where he tells Clint, let me get the gauntlet. And he goes running for it. And he's kicking ass and showing his abilities. It looked dope. I was getting I could feel my heart pumping then. So and that was a little nod to Civil War when Clint met him and told him, I'm Clint, and he was like, I don't care, now he knows his name. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so moments, we're on the topic of moments here. And then, like I said, Captain Marvel had that moment going toe to toe with Thanos, which again, for people that these dudes that are scared about their manhood and can't stand to see her get her shine, and they're blaming it on comments she made, which are not comments that they're misconstrued comments, as well as just even if she is saying some of the stuff that they think she's saying, so what? Why are you so sensitive about it with your freaking privilege? Anyway, in the people were mad. I remember people being mad tomorrow. So she's just gonna come in and save everybody from Thanos, and even with the tag end credit scene with Infinity War, it's like I never thought that they were setting it up like that was gonna be what's gonna happen. Never was worried about that, and they proved it because he still put that Power Stone. He took the Power Stone to the side and punched her with it and knocked her the crap out. And she was, you didn't see her no more. It's like, you know what I mean? It wasn't going to be this overly push of feminism and how strong and powerful she is. But they did a good job of showing she's a badass. And then still, she had to kind of take a seat for a minute. But beyond that, I'm talking about moments. The scene where they had the girl power scene. Again, this is not me cracking on girl power, but that scene was corny as heck to me. Basically because it was just so fake and convenient that every female character happened to be in the same vicinity at that moment to walk up together. Like Spider-Man. Wasn't it Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, how am I supposed to get over there? It's like, what? I mean, everybody. Freaking Pepper Potts in the rescue armor. Shuri with her little panther pistol gun, fist guns. It's like, that didn't look... I mean, but I gotta be... Objectively, it's not for me. So that's why I don't even talk too much about that. Because that is somebody else's moment for the little girls. of all colors in the audience for women and little girls. I want y'all to have that again. The same way I'm marking watching Black Panther, and it, frankly, yes, because he's black. Yeah, like him running around kicking ass, having that moment, glowing with his purple nanotech, holding the gauntlet. That's a designed scene. They did that on purpose for his audience, whoever that may be. And seeing a black superhero take that kind of moment, I'm all for it. So having that moment for them, I'm for it. It was corny execution. They didn't even have to have all of them. Like, gradually bring them in. You know what I mean? Like, not just they all walk to the same space. Like, that's some pandering, patronizing type stuff, in my opinion. And you know, Marvel, like I said, they're not perfect, but I expect better from them than to do something like that. Yeah. I'm just like, come on. Every single one of them. And you know what's sad about that, though? I looked in retrospect after seeing a couple times. It hurts that Black Widow's not there. That's almost bittersweet. She deserved to be there, you know? Was Gamora in that? I don't know. I don't even know. But yeah, it was like basically everybody. So it's just like, okay, y'all are just trying to give fan service moments left and right. And I guess that's why some people say for any comic nerd, it's like a wet dream fantasy sequence, one moment after another. Again, I'm not that guy. I'm this movie nerd when it comes to the superhero movies and even like cartoons, the characters themselves, but not in terms of comic moments and comic book storylines because I don't know them that well. Anyway, so that was, I mean, like I said, that moment, I'm not going to say that moment was cool because it did nothing for me. It made me laugh. Like, yeah, this is corny. But the concept of that moment is fine with me. It could have just been maybe 4 of the characters that made sense in that moment, like Wanda, Valkyrie, Captain Marvel. I guess you could bring Pepper since she's got a suit. Give me some powerful people. I don't need this. Did I say the Wasp? Even her. I don't need to see Shuri with her little pistols, with her little fist guns. And I guess it would have looked silly with Black Widow with her little pistols, like literal guns. Basically Wanda, Captain Marvel, and Valkyrie. That would have been dope to me. Like those are the suckers who probably could whoop some ass. What was I gonna say? It was in relation to those ladies. Shoot. Oh, and what I'm saying is, yeah, have those two come up. Let some more battle come up, and then let other ones come up as it go. You know what I mean? It almost could have been a thing where they're passing the gauntlet on or to each other or something, but not them all just walk up like the very same moment you in this massive battle and 8, 9 of y'all just happen to be in the same vicinity. Yeah, Okoye don't need to be there either, as much as I love her. The scene in Infinity War was better when Proxima Midnight, told Black Widow she was going to die. Told Scarlet Witch she was going to die alone. Wanda, they don't call her Scarlet Witch. Again, see what I'm saying? They don't use these names. So Ronin and all this stuff, you don't really have to go by that. But when she told Wanda she was going to die alone, and then Natasha and Okoye showed up, that was more organic. It made more sense and was badass. Even though it's the same freaking fan service and little intentional agenda, if that's what you want to call it, type of moment, appreciated that one much more. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the movie. Tony's death, it's almost like I tried to cry. Like I had to like psych myself into the emotion of that. And I guess that was only right when Pepper came over, and that scene was good. It was great emotion in how she was telling him, you can rest now. We're gonna be fine. In his death scene, his acting in dying. I realized he didn't even get a word. He didn't even get a last word. That was kind of interesting to me. Oh, speaking of his last word though, and maybe that's why, because his actual last words end up being, "I am Iron Man." I think that's why they did that, because he never really uttered a word in that death moment. But yeah, speaking of that, I like that. I saw that coming when he said, "I am inevitable," and it was like a silence. But again, they kind of drew that sucker out too long. Y'all drew that silence out too long. But I was like, he's about to be like, I said it actually. I was sitting next to my daughter. I was like, and I am Iron Man. That's what I said. And then he said it. So I said it before him because he took so long. It gave me the time to say it probably at the right moment where he should have said it. You know, they wanted to ask me. I could have told you the moment he should have said it. But, you know, they don't ask me these things. Yeah, but I loved it. He delivered it perfectly and it just was perfect. Going back to that first movie, I am Iron Man. He delivered. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. He was iconic, epic to me. Um, and he hit the snap. But again, there's some holes with that situation because he took. Again, my point is him taking so long to do it. Why didn't Thanos just punch him in the face, or someone of his henchmen or cronies come knock him down for him to take that freaking long to say it? You know what I mean? Also in that scene, my man Doctor Strange, he gave him the sign like, we're in the one version. He was basically telling him, this is the one, what this stuff that's happening right now is the one version where we win. And somebody else broke this down. I was watching videos on this and I hadn't even really thought about this. Remember, he saw how it ends. So he actually knew Tony was going to do that snap and die. But he can't tell him. Because they said in the movie, if you tell a person something is going to happen, it won't happen. So he just had to tell him. He probably, even the way he acted that scene was like he was almost saying to himself, I've got to tell him he needs to do something, but I can't tell him what to do, or he won't do it. And I'm knowing that this dude's he's probably gonna do it because I've seen the future, and I know I believe he's gonna go on ahead and make this sacrifice, but he's gonna die because of it. That's deep when you think about that. I think they're gonna have to expand on that. Doctor Strange in his next movie, him carrying around, you know, whether he's not gonna become Fat Thor over it, but you know, that's a lot for him to have carried, knowing that. But I love that. I love that moment. And so I was perfectly fine with that. And I kind of marked a little bit when he said that. But yeah, so he dies. And when Pepper's talking to him, like I said, that's when I got a little choked up. I didn't really get choked up with Spider-Man, you know, crying over him. Or Rhodey. I do like that they wrote it that way. That it was fitting. Rhodey was the first one that came up to him. And he just it's like he knew his boy was about to die. He just quietly kind of touched him and patted him and tried to set him at ease, and then kind of backed away. Then Spider-Man, being his new bestie, had to come up there and cry over him. I guess in a way I would have rather seen him have a closing moment with Cap. I mean, I'm not going to say more so than Spider-Man, although I do say more so than Spider-Man. But again, I understand they're pushing that Tony and Spider-Man relationship, and they got to give Spider-Man a moment because he's going forward. Cap is not in the MCU. But, you know, think about that. How did Cap not really be able to say goodbye to him and them have a reconciliation or closure to their rift? You know, these movie makers have to consider a lot. But for my taste, I would have rather seen something along that line. And of course, Pepper's got to get her moment. And again, that's the one that got me a little choked up. Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert Downey Jr.'s chemistry in the history of those characters. It was touching, and you felt it. And so, yeah, he dies. So that moves us to everyone's ending of their story. I love the scene, the moment they had. A lot of great moments in this movie that are just personal, interpersonal character moments. Loved their attention to detail again. And that scene where they have Clint and Wanda by the lake. That's before Tony's funeral, I guess, basically. And they're talking to each other. And that's significant because he's like her big brother in the Avengers. You know, if you go back to the scene they had in Age of Ultron where he talks her into, you know, getting out there and fighting this fight with us. Get over your regret because you were helping Ultron. Then you move into Civil War where he came he came to the Avengers mansion to break her out. You know what I mean? That's her big brother. So they have that bond. You know, it's almost like the way life works. Like, if you believe in God, you know, he puts people in lives after someone's gone. There's usually someone else, not to fill their void, but, you know, to ease or play a new role. So, you know, Clint lost his best female friend, so to speak, in that sense. But he's got this little sister now, you know, and they've always had that kind of little sister. And when you think back to, you know, their first encounters when she tried to do her little mindy stuff on him, and he hit her with that arrow that had an electrode, whatever you want to call it, in it. You know what I mean? So they've got a dope little history between the two of them. And I don't know if that's comic book based. I just know the MCU has done that, and I love what they did with that. So giving them that scene was dope for her to, you know, mention, yeah, she knows, talking about Natasha, and they both do, talking about Vision. You know, they both lost someone at this point, like permanently. You know what I mean? I think it's convenient plot-wise to backtrack. Speaking of people who are dead, that they've found a way to bring Gamora back, because now you have a 2014 Gamora running around in the present day, which will give plot line to Guardians 3. So I like that. I have no problem with that, actually. Because in a way it was like, I was fine with them having her be dead. Just move on. I mean, I like Zoe Saldana in that character. I like the character. If anything, she's probably my favorite character in Guardians. I like her and Quill, and in Rocket. I mean, everybody else is just like, eh. You know, I like Yondu, actually. But yeah, so but you know, I felt like, hey, let her be dead, because that has weight. But if you're gonna bring her back, I don't think this is a cheap way to bring her back. I think it was clever, and it still it opens a new possibility, because now they're gonna have to basically you know, they're gonna have to pull her back into the Guardians. They're gonna have to totally reacclimate and reestablish all of her relationships with all those characters, especially Peter, to you know, bring her back into the fold. And that's gonna be, I'm sure, major part of the plot of Guardians Part 3. And it does make me more interested in seeing Guardians 3. So, because otherwise, I'm not the biggest like Guardians mark. I like the first one, but I was not one of those people that felt like that's some people's in their top 3 or 5 MCU movies. Not me. It's like 7 or something, or 8. And then, like I said, Part 2 is probably now 12 or 15 or something like that after seeing it again. So it's never been super high for me. And even in 2017, it was my least anticipated movie. Like, I was looking more forward to Spider-Man Homecoming. Thor Ragnarok was number 1 for me. I was looking more forward to Justice League. I was looking more forward to Wonder Woman, you know. I like Guardians, but, you know. So I actually do have a high anticipation for Guardians 3 now. I just hope they, I don't know, tone down some of that jokiness that's every other line that they had in Part 2. So then, last but not least, Captain America. Again, I've heard people who have problems with that. I mean, there's multiple things. You may have a problem with, like, it's plot holey in terms of he just broke rules, and what the heck did he do? How was he old, and all that other stuff. And I actually want to get with some people and discuss theories on this. I'm not even going to go into my theories. I do have some, but I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to run out of room, and I don't want to take any more time on this subject in this particular video, because I could literally do a specific video about that. And that's probably what I'm going to be doing, is certain storyline elements that I want to delve deeper into, because there are some. That's the type of movie this is, which is sick. Again, for it to be a culmination movie, it actually opens more doors and creates more questions than, not more questions than answers, because you get a lot of answers, but it creates questions as well as answers. And because, like I said, I had already predicted this. It's something similar to this. He's gonna not die. I just always had this feeling he wasn't gonna die, but somehow he's gonna just not be Captain America. His days as Captain America are gonna have to end. Never would have thought of that. Even when he, well, now again, let me just give you some of the play-by-play of how I was looking at it. That moment at the funeral where he's just like, or after the funeral, whatever, and he's like, yeah, I gotta do this one on my own, and like all of a sudden he's the one guy that's chosen to go take the stones back. Right then I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Talking to my daughter next to me, this is what I'm talking about. He's gonna not come back. I'm sitting there like I'm a genius. So he goes in and they told him after 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds, he didn't come back. I said, there it is. Now it's like, I don't know how they're gonna know that he just stayed there, but I'm looking at, that's literally what I said. He's gonna stay in the past to be with Peggy. But again, obviously I'm not the genius making these movies, so they took it a step further, and it's like, he came back. And then Bucky looks over, and there's somebody sitting on a bench. I actually thought that was going to be the little scrawny, original Steve Rogers. So then I thought, I still didn't know, well, what the heck is that supposed to mean? But that's who I thought was going to be sitting there. I'm talking about in that moment. They walk up to him, and then I see it's an old man. And I'm like, that's the direction. This is why they're in charge. That makes even more sense. Because I thought he returned to not being, super soldier serum. That wouldn't have made sense anyway. Like, why would you do that? That doesn't give you no life with Peggy. And what the heck are you doing back here as a scrawny dude? So instead, he comes back. He's lived a life of being, now he's 100 and some odd years old, I guess. But he still looks good for 100 and something years old. Because he looks like he's 70. Having a super soldier serum, he's not aging that fast. His aging is slowed down anyway. So he's like the same dude. So in that time period, he would be like 120 or whatever in 2023 when this movie's supposed to be happening, since it's 5 years after Infinity War. Which again, that's going to open a whole new line of questions, like where the heck are we at in MCU story timeline now, since it was a 5 years later thing. I don't know. But yeah, and then the thing about that, man, the more I watched it, and I don't know, it's like a weird emo, sentimental, emotional thing. Like, Chris Evans killed that. Like, he really looked like this peaceful old man. Like, and then his voice, like, hey Sam. It was brilliant. Like I said, these suckers acting. People may say, come on, these are superhero movies, and maybe I'm just too geeky about them. But there's some really phenomenal acting performances in these movies. And these two guys, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, really they be showing out on why these movies, they've raised the bar on these movies. And this is where I'm just like, people talk a lot about Logan being so great. I like Logan. But you have people who diss the MCU for being for kids and there's no stakes and da 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 da. A lot of times those are people who are DC fans, which I never really understood. So what has DC been doing that's so dark and more mature than? I know what they're doing that's dark, yeah, visually, because they use dark palettes in their in their color schemes, in their cinematography. In design, set design, and costumes, and even their tone is dark, I guess. But it's like, so what? It's not like it's more mature because it's doom and gloom. So you have those sect of people. Then you got the people who do use Logan in the Dark Knight, because again, Dark Knight is not. Don't look at Dark Knight as DC, because it's not. That's Christopher Nolan. That's a whole another topic. I go in all the time on people online. Don't talk about the Dark Knight trilogy as reasons why the DCEU is more mature than the MCU. Because that's not DC. That's Christopher Nolan. Zack Snyder is DCEU, and his stuff ain't no more highbrow or mature than anything. It just has darker looks and doom and gloom to it. Anyway, let's not talk about that, because I like DC. I like what they're doing now. I want to see good stuff from them. But anyway, so it's not to be construed as anti-DC. My point is, same people will talk about Logan and Dark Knight as movies that are real dramatic, with people dying and then Oscar worthy this, Oscar worthy that. Just like people were mad that Black Panther won an Oscar, first superhero movie to win an Oscar, even though it's for costume design or something like that. People want to be mad at that, saying Logan should have been the first. I mean, but for what? I mean, it's not like it got it for acting, even though it could have. There's some top-notch acting in Black Panther, in my opinion. What, Logan, because it was, I don't know. I just don't know. Logan is good. All I'm trying to say is, for whatever people want to say about movies like Logan, it's people need to be real and say Endgame is on that level. Maybe as a whole, obviously, there's way more humor involved in Endgame than Logan, and by design, and that's who the MCU is. But for the dramatic moments themselves and acting performances, they're on par. If you feel like Logan is full of such great acting in the first place, which I'm not saying it isn't, but it's never been something that felt like this was the epitome of superhero acting storytelling in the first place. Dark Knight did feel like that. Let's be honest, in 2008, absolutely. But since then, Civil War has done it, Winter Soldier has done it, Black Panther has done it, in my opinion. All those movies did it. And now Infinity War and Endgame have done it. So that's like 5 movies that have done what The Dark Knight did as far as acting and being able to take a comic book movie seriously. I'm probably missing a couple other ones. I mean, I'm not going to say Thor Ragnarok did that, or Ant-Man, or, I'm not going to say that. So, that's where I'm at. 8.5. The 0.5 really is because I'm appreciating what they did. It will probably never be a 10 because of what they did with the Hulk. That's my 1.5 to 2 points that I'm going to just hold against their asses forever. I mean, I just don't see that ever changing for me. I can't ever see it getting past 9 because of that. That's just an egregious, horrendous, I still haven't figured out the word I'm trying to say. It starts with a C, and I'll think of it later. Anyway, so there it is. Right now it's like number 7 on my list. I've got Avengers Infinity War, Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, Captain America Winter Soldier, Iron Man, which can be flip-flopped, Iron Man, Winter Soldier. I'm always saying those 5 and 6 are going to always kind of flip-flop. I kind of probably give the edge to Captain America Winter Soldier. I don't know. It depends on what day it is. So that's 6. 7 is Endgame. That's where I'm at. So there you go. Let's just put it like that. Those are the movies I put ahead of Endgame. All of those. In whatever order you want to look at them. And then right behind Endgame, I believe, is Ragnarok, and then Avengers Age of Ultron. So I know that's, like I said, a lot of people don't like Age of Ultron. I got it up there for me. I put that ahead of the first Guardians. I put that ahead of Spider-Man Homecoming. That's me. So there we have it, folks. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be back. It took me a while to get to do this, and I just had some free time. I said, let me finally, in the video I just saw on another YouTube channel talking about this issue with the Hulk and exploring different perspectives of whether he was underutilized or not, it inspired me to go ahead and finally get these thoughts out, since the Hulk is my main gripe with this movie. It literally is. If they would have done better with him, I probably would give this thing a 10, like I said. I wouldn't have given it a 10 if the first time I saw it, because it was just, it was more things I just, had to absorb. But again, it's not a criticism of the movie. It's like the movie is huge, epic, and complex and deep, so it's hard to just, I'm not really, the better a movie is or more layered a movie is, the less likely I'm to be able to give it a score as soon as I see it. So, that's all there is to that. I mean, Black Panther was the same way. Infinity War was the same way. Civil War, well, no, Civil War. I love Civil War. That's one movie I walked out. Avengers and then Captain America: Civil War. I walked out, and Black Panther. Honestly, I walked out at all three of those already, giving those at least like a 9. So, that's all I got. I'll be back with more. Appreciate y'all. Soul of a Nerd signing out. I think I hit all my topics. If not, I'm going to go back and look at this, and anything I didn't cover, I will make note of. And like I said, I'll make some separate videos on different things, elements of this movie. That'll do it.